Hello, everyone, and welcome to a Let's chat session, whatever you want to call it. Basically, I sat down with Simon from Amass Games and we talked through the best of the month picks from the creator collaboration video. Now, if you've not seen that already, that was posted on my channel last week, and in the little pop-up card and all that, that will take you to that. A bunch of creators basically pick what is their favourite game that they've played from the last month, and well, we thought we'd discuss it here because some of the games weren't brand new to us. Some of them we had played, and some of them we now certainly want to give a go. Anyway, let's roll the intro and, well, here are thoughts. Let's start with the game that you put on the list for best of the month, which is Micro Macro Crime City. Now, I very much enjoy them. We've spoken about them before. Love the details on the map and the fact that they're not a snapshot in time. It's snapshots in times, in terms of you can follow the path that someone's walked across the city. Now, you sort of said both of them, but I'm going to put it out there. Which is your favourite of the two boxes?
Well, when people say which one should I get, that's another question. And I think I did do a comparison video on them as well. I would probably go with the first one, only because I feel that the complexity of them is more accurate. There are different designers, and they talk about different designers. In fact, it's someone's brother, I think, or at least a relative, or at least same name, who has been involved, at least last name, as the main designer, Johannes. And I just felt that there's some really fun stories, but based on the amount of cubes that I'm putting down, which doesn't come with the game, I feel that I'm using a lot more cubes, which is a very good way of putting it. Because I know I'm getting on to 30 plus cubes, more than 45 on the last few missions in both boxes. And yes, it's nice that it's got the family weight stuff, but you still see murders. It is crime. So that's what I'm mentioning. But in terms of being a best of the month, I've played in the month of March, this month we're talking, more of the follow-up one, Full House, but also I've been playing some more of the ones which I had kind of played before, but I found a few new ones, some of the promo stuff and other bits, which is really good. And I compared the two, I put them on top of each other, so one on top of the other, so you can actually see they do make a massive map. This ginormous bed-size mattress thing you can sleep on practically, apart from the creases. And yeah, it's just very it's fun to see the same characters, and I don't know what the ordering is chronologically. It feels like they're at the top and they go down. The top one is Full House, and yes, it's a kind of a one-shot game compared to most best month kind of things. And I know there are other games on this list which we won't spoil yet, which I wouldn't be putting on this month, because unless you're playing it in that particular month, you're unlikely to put it on that list, and we'll go on to that why. Yeah, that's Micro Macro, and the joy that it is, the fact that even when I first heard about it, I read about it, in fact, it was just the word Micro Macro, just there it is. Then I learned about another game after that, and that was it. And I went, try it out. I wasn't impressed with the name, but when you see the box cover, that's what really gets you. So if you want to watch this video of my full details about it a bit more, that's going to be live like 3rd of April or something. That could change, but that's been Micro Macro.
Yeah, I love the way the box almost draws you in, because it's kind of, you can actually follow a mini crime on the box, which is then actually on the map itself.
Yeah.
If I was gonna pick one of the two, I don't know. The second one has that sort of supposed. If I was going to recommend it, it's got the supposed sort of adult theming ratings.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. It feels like they're trying to target two audiences. They're trying to target people like just general gamers, and then they're trying to target family gamers within the same map. And then, yeah, like you say, realistically, if you just look next to something on the map, then something dodgy is going on, because they are crimes.
Yeah.
It is literally perfect for them to come out with a kids friendly version. And I'm surprised they haven't just gone, here's the crime city and here's schoolyard city or something, and had very much a family-friendly
Yeah,
version and
bullies.
a carry on the crime for everyone else. And I've seen stuff online. I think they're working on that kids one now.
Oh, where have you seen that then?
So they had posted up some of the company behind it was asking for people if they would be interested in testing if they liked micro macro, would you be interested in testing something that they would be hoping to be family friendly? And they didn't say it, but it sounded basically like they were saying, we're making a friendly version. Is anyone with kids up for testing this?
Yeah, you have to wait a few years probably for that one, but
it would be almost a no-brainer that they're coming out with it. And that just it sounded, it could be a completely different game.
Yep.
But it didn't. The way the post was worded from like one of the publishing team, it sounded very much
hard nuts, hard boiled. Because there's Spielwise, there's Pegs of Spieler, and there's another one. There's something I was going to show you, which I didn't get to do before the video, which I'm hoping to, and that's why I'm just fiddling off camera slightly. I'm trying to get this to work. But no, it's very interesting, and I feel that the other thing with kids games is with kids games you have an issue whereby you actually have a factor of, do I want to play Catan Kids, or do I want to think that actually they're 2 years older than this and they don't need to? I've played like Catan Junior, and it's you have one die and that's it. It's just all luck. that's it. There's no probability in it. So, and there's or Junior, but it's by, as we know, one of my favourite designers, the Brunts, and Incrus Marcus Brunt will probably knock it out of the park. But I don't know if I'll try it. I'm sure I will. I have ordered some Junior versions of games and I have enjoyed some of them. I'm not sure if I'm going to enjoy Wizard Junior though, but sometimes they're fine. Sometimes they're not well rated because they say they might rate them lowly because of how high they rate the original. Doesn't mean it's a bad game though.
Yeah, I think, I mean, coming from a standpoint of in the next, well, probably, let's be honest, more like in 5 years' time for me,
Exactly.
or 10 years' time when I might be looking at that sort of thing. From where I'm sat at the moment, though, it seems very much a bit like you'd play a game that is designed for kids rather than they've taken Catan and made it for kids.
Yeah.
And then when they're ready, just move on to Catan. It's almost like one of the, not a cash grab, but they've used the name and simplified it to try and be like, oh, you like Catan? Well, why don't you play this slightly different version with your kids rather than let's make a game for the kids and parents? But like I said, that might change in 5 years' time. I might be like going, woo, Catan Junior. But yes, we're not there yet.
I mean, I'm sure you're going to be eager, to try, ages 4+. And like, let's try this out, even to the Habba range and stuff like that. Let's work up from there. And then it might be the case that you choose to do that. You choose to, do you want to wait until they're 6 to start Catan, as some people try to do? And I know people who are ages 8 and they get Arnak, and they've done that since younger than the age of 8. And they're very good teachers as well. I was taught it. And they also want to be, let me give you your pieces. They want to be so helpful. Which sometimes isn't as helpful, but that is something to bear in mind. So, it'd be very interesting to know your progression on that.
Yes.
They picked up this one, or they didn't like this one, or maybe they're co-op players, and actually it turned out that they're more traitors. You never know. When they reach that BSG age. So maybe you'll start on Battlestar Galactica. Maybe that's
that's going to be the first game we play.
Cool. I've got this thing to work, so I was going to show you this thing. Ready?
Let's see it.
Let's see if I can get this cable long enough. So that is a smartwatch with my logo behind it.
Very nice, very nice.
Takes a long time to get working though. It took 40 minutes. No, sorry, 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
You wear that around UK Games Expo.
I know.
Just
exactly.
Whip out the watch and
just yeah. Make it go viral. Literally.
So. You've literally got branded merch.
Exactly. Cool. Yeah, it is publicly available. You can get that watch face apparently somehow. Put it onto my link tree or something. Cool. So on to the second.
Yes. So the second is one of the ones that I haven't played. It was the one that I Play Red suggest. Now, I Play Red always comes up with games that look awesome, and I just haven't played. And this one
Yeah.
was Gutenberg, and it looks like a really unique theme in terms of it's all about sort of writing the letters, and you are having to collect the ink bits. And I've not seen, I've not like get and then get like the different shapes and extra bits to maybe do just the simple writing or the extra bits. I've not seen a game with a theme like that, to be honest. I've seen maybe the closest was maybe like an ink one with for tattoos, which I think I saw at Spiel a couple of years ago. I wouldn't remember the name. That's probably their closest one, but this seemed like it was a very unique theme, and I'd want to give it a go. To be fair, have you played it? I'd not heard of it before.
I never even heard of it. So I did some research, obviously, into the list you sent through. Hadn't heard of it. It sounded very much like a medieval Euro.
Yes.
Considering what else is coming here on the list, I thought, even though that doesn't sound like a medieval Euro, it's by a medieval Euro person, shall we say, in some respect, as we'll get on to. But I just thought, really? So the title, I thought, Steve Gutenberg is from Police Academy. It's something to do with that. And of course, when you're doing your version of the editing, we're going to see, obviously, there's paint pots in between us, whatever. But no, I'm aware of obviously games with paints, even things like Vindication, as you make new paint colors. But it's still, this is why I don't think this stream will be very long because of this specific top 10. And it might be the case. I mean, where on earth did I Play Red discover this? That's the other thing, because I'm trying to not put out a title. I mean, I know there's a number of titles from 2021 on this list, but I didn't want to. I want to pick, what do I play the most of? And there's quite a few options for this particular month. I have no idea for next month. I know Draws the Line has shifted from tonight to Friday, because it's Wednesday recording. It could be April, because who knows what's going to kick into April. There's other things, though, that I may well choose to either play or play at different player accounts. I know I'm playing Age of Steam for the first time next Thursday. So, and I know I mentioned Yinch, so maybe another rematch of Yinch will get it up there. So we'll see.
Okay, well, should we go on to number 3, which was another one on the list that I hadn't played, Boss Battle. Now, had you heard of it before?
Never heard of it. I can't even find it, actually, can you? Is it a video game? Is it even on BGG? Not how you typed it. I tried it, but
maybe I did. Maybe I did a typo or
it's
something
not
like
that.
Carnival. Yes. A little inside joke for anyone listening there. When I managed to massively get the name of a game wrong, and
Dreadful Circus, he thought was Death Carnival, which is a greater name.
It's close, right? I like the look of this one. The way it was an all against one. Not too many games do that well, and this one sounded like it could actually handle that, as sort of that boss is trying to beat down on them coming in from the multiple lanes. That seemed like a really logical way of how to expand a player count, where the boss is only focused on these 2 lanes because there's 2 players, or 3 lanes when there's 3 players and stuff like that. So it seems like that's a simple way to balance things, and there's not too many games where it's all against one and it's done in that sort of way. Like you've got King of Tokyo is like the one that where you can think about it, one's in the middle and everyone's attacking them. But this is like for actually one person to be like that big boss and have powerful stuff that is you've got to then distribute out.
Fury of Dracula? But, I don't know how you say
yes, that Fury of Dracula, yeah, although I'm not a huge fan of that.
I'm weighing on. And the Sherlock Holmes, obviously the Scotland Yard games.
Yes, yeah, where you're trying to run around London.
I was unsure which are the ones that you weren't a fan of. These one against many, out of interest.
Well, one of my favourite ones is not Letters from Whitechapel, the Whitehall Mysteries. In terms of that's one person trying to escape the rest, which I think we spoke about before. Fury of Dracula for me just never really. I think it was just too convoluted. If I know where someone is, I don't want to have to stop them and hit them, and then something else happens, and it's like no, that was the fun was catching them. I don't want to catch them and then them escape and I haven't even scratched them, sort of thing. And it was just very long. I play long games, but that felt like it was drawn out for no reason. Whereas the boss battle one, it looked like it just handled the different player counts well. I think that was what interested me. What about you? Would you give this one a go?
It sounds interesting because it is one against many. I don't know how long it is because I guess that is a factor. Because if I'm told it's 45 minutes, I'm like, yeah, I can just knock that out. Try it out quickly. So there's that is the biggest factor perhaps for me. I mean, with every other game coming out, I'm not going to. I know you do order stuff from America and bring stuff in. I have done the same, but equally, do I want to over other things? Because my shelf of shame has increased a bit more, so I need to be aware of that.
Oh dear.
I'll try it out, but then will I try it over something else? And I will get on to something else in this list which I didn't try out, so I haven't tried it. There's a different game I played instead. So there's always that battle. Anyway, I would rather not even think about it. Just like if I see it, if I have the opportunity to play it, then I'll consider it rather than wanting to get that urgy, itchy feeling.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Right, here's a quick side question for you then. An approximation, it doesn't have to be exact. How many games are on that shelf of opportunity?
32.
Oh, wow.
23 now, actually.
Okay.
I check daily.
Fair enough.
It's a bookmark. Yeah, no, it's like every time I'm like, all right, now I was checking it before this call and stuff like this, just thinking about other ideas for top tens and stuff. And it's 33. It's been wavering between 27 and 42 for about 4 years now. So it's about 13% of the collection, something like that. I think maybe more than that. So it's consistent. I mean, I check on it. There's definitely a weekly basis where I do a hard stop and go, okay, at this point, where am I at? But I did manage to play a game or two games, somebody else's copy of Carcassonne, which they haven't opened yet, apart from to play some meeples, which I made a Port Royal, the board game version. But we punched out his Carcassonne. I've been thinking about Catan prior to this on a podcast, and seeing your Catan behind you. And it was covered in silk. It wasn't paper sleeved. It was like a silk sleeve, which is very weird for all the punch boards. But yeah, that shelf of shame, I knocked off 3 for my SlagCon event for the inaugural Simon Lavender Amass Games convention. So I've recorded 2 of those videos, I think, and an unboxing. But the other ones I'm yet to decide on. So they're going to take some time to get through. I have managed to play a game I've played before, which we're playing a few times now. And that's more of the missus have got some games that we're trying to pass on because you want to hold on to them. So we're now having to prioritize those, even though I've played them before. But there's a game called Revolver, which I haven't played, which is a big tin thing. I don't know where you can get it from anymore, but maybe trying that out next. A 45-minute Western thing with cards all over the place. They don't rest well on the tin. So what's your shame level like?
If you're including expansions, it's probably higher because there are some where I've got Ankh and I've got expansions for Ankh. I've played the base game. I think we threw in like 1 monster from the box. Not played the many options and some of the expansions for that and stuff like that. But if you don't exclude them, it's probably under 20. And I would say all bar one of those are games that I have bought rather than I have reviewed or am reviewing. Because if something comes into review, it gets to the top of the pile, which normally means then the one that I've then paid money to ship from America or something and excited to play doesn't get played, but I'm then excited to play whatever I'm reviewing instead. It's not a bad thing, but not too much of a shelf of shame.
I'm just scrolling just to check. Shelf of Shame. So I was actually 37 apparently, but I know it's at least 38 since then. So maybe miscalculated. Maybe there's 5 which are expansions. The Shelf of Shame. Yeah. So if something comes into review, I aim to prioritize it, and I log a play to ensure that's done. Subject to me playing it enough times or knowing I need certain people to play it with. That doesn't always occur because some people might say, I don't want to play that one. So whenever I do reviews, it's about me playing with other people. And I say, of these games, what would you like to play next? And therefore, if it's opened or otherwise, that's great. But equally, I'd rather give a more quality review, i.e., play a game at multiple player counts, than playing a game once at a player count of 2, which might be best as a 5, and then do something different. And if there's an opportunity, to then play one of my shelf of shame ones, let's say, one of my purchased ones, of which it is predominantly, in fact, I'll have another look and tell you how many are actually review copies, and I'll tell you then how does that affect it, because the majority of these are the games from 4 years ago I've bought. So they're definitely, anything prior to that, I've definitely sorted out. I was given a game, kind of indirectly given a game, so it was kind of a review copy, but I wasn't asked to review it. I was interviewing the designers, so that doesn't really count. And I'll keep that. Well, maybe I'll make a separate playlist for that. One game from a couple of years ago, I was given lots of games to review, and again, I think the publisher should be happy because they've had nearly all of them done. One of them only arrived this week, so that's fair. Another one.
Yeah, if it arrived in the last week, it's not necessarily got to the shelf yet,
Well, the other thing is I'm still doing videos daily since May, so it's not as if there hasn't been something else that I've wanted to prioritize, let's say. There's only one other game that came in about a month ago now, but I was on holiday at the time, so I didn't pick it up until a couple of weeks ago. And it's a 4+ rated waiting game, so it's a very potent game, very strong. And whilst I have reviewed its brother, let's say, I wanted to ensure that there's a bit of time and pace going on with it. And I've been doing other videos too.
If it's a weighty game like that, you need to commit to it and know that you're going to be playing that. You don't want to just be like, oh, let's play a game and pull a 4 out of 5 weight game off the shelf. You want to be like, we're going to go and sit down and play this, so everyone can just be in the right mental headspace to know that you're going to be, turning those cogs.
Literally, and sometimes like a Sulkin or something. But if But for this, so with all these heavy games, of course, you need the right groups, and you don't want to turn up there and say, "We're going to play this," because that's what I'd say. I've got 3 games here. What do you fancy playing? And even yesterday was very interesting. Somebody said, "Oh, I don't like the look of that." I was very surprised. I thought, "Oh, I think that's the best," but never mind. Okay, and then between 2 ones, which I thought would look a bit more drab and fantasy. Well, let's go for that one. Okay, then. So Pendulum, for example, didn't get played, and these aren't necessarily review games. One of them I bought. One of them I was sent as a prototype, and one is a review copy. But of those 3, all right, pick one, because I'm happy with these and getting played. They are games that I haven't played at different player counts, or in this case, it was a 3, so I hadn't played them as a 3. So that was the justification for bringing them. Tomorrow, I'm bringing some party games somewhere else, which we're playing at least as a 5+. So there are some games I know playing a 5+ is the first opportunity pretty much in a couple of years to do that I feel comfortable at, because it's still a very confined environment, or spacious, but not a lot of foot traffic, let's say. So it's going to be interesting to see how those play out. And hopefully, that shame is going to come down. There is an end in sight, I believe. And then I'm into probably playing some of those games again and again, such as maybe not Micro Macro, but I've got Kitchen Rush, which I haven't played the entire thing through because that's a lot of stuff, and Crack the Code. It's a campaignable stuff. I've got Charterstone unplayed, and that's a campaignable thing we've mentioned before, but it is on my 10x10 list to play this year. So that's
you can do 10. You can do 10 for that. So
I'm hoping so. But again, it's when isn't the issue. Every day is fine. It's just what am I going to play today? And it's like if someone else wants to play it, then what are we going to play?
Well, my advice for Charterstone is the first time you sit down, play games 1 and 2.
Yep.
Because that's one after the other. Because the first one is you're learning, and it's okay. Mm-hmm. And then you're slowly starting to, but over the next few games, you start putting more stickers down and getting new cards, and that's when it. For me, that was when it started becoming interesting. So it took a couple of games to really get going with that. It started very simple.
Okay, and duration as well. What does a game take? Would you say, including that first?
It's been a while, but I remember the box saying something like, I don't know, say it was like an hour, where it took us like half an hour for that first game.
Okay, cool.
Not including probably learning it, but it was very much it felt like yes, lots is going to be added to this, and I'm not going to say anything more.
No.
But it felt like this is the basic level,
Yeah.
and then it goes on a bit like Pandemic Legacy. You can play like a standard game of Pandemic, and then you add the legacy components. It felt like that first game of Charterstone was the base game of Charterstone, and
Okay.
then you added the legacies as you went on. But
Cool.
that'll be interesting to know what you think. Right,
Yes.
we've sidetracked quite a little bit there.
Yeah.
The next game is one of the sort of games that looks like it's sort of from the 1990s in box design. Not actually sure when it came out, and that is Bora
2000.
Bora.
Yes. Glad you want to mention this one because this is the one that I've been really keen to play. I don't actually know if it's that good. Is it Steffenfeld? It sounds like it might be. Alea?
Not sure. I'm not sure, to be
Okay.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on my it looks okay list, but I mean, it's got a shout out on the someone. It's the someone's best game of the month. That is what they
Mm.
chose, and that's why I love doing the show, because it means I hear about loads of different games. But for
Mhm.
me, it would be a hard sell for me to get that to the table with certainly a number of the people I play with.
It's
There's
plain good.
one game group at my local board game shop that would probably hands down play it, but getting it to the table with my wife or with other people that I play, I'm gonna have to come in and say this is a brilliant game, because otherwise they're gonna look at it and be like,
Yeah.
"What's that other one you got in the bag?" But,
I get that a lot. Not a lot, but it's you have to be careful with your choices and hype it up. So one of the games I brought yesterday is very much a lighter version of Hansa Teutonica. And I was curious to play with people who hadn't played Hansa yet, because if they play Hansa Teutonica, they probably won't want to play the other one. So that's the factor. But I feel that I had this issue the night before, and I had these clamping on too much. So I haven't played, like I said. I've never been to the place. I'd love to go to Bora Bora, and then I can tick it on my list of 120 plus places, which are a board game that I've been to, like Lisboa. Actually, I haven't. I've been there, but I haven't played the game. Strange enough, but you get what I mean. So I know it feels like, in terms of, I've been to London on board and I've seen people turn up, and I've seen like an Agricola crowd, and they're bam straight into a game, and I felt like that's the crowd. It feels
yeah,
like it's a
very
mid
much
to
so.
heavyweight game. It feels pretty dry as a bone. I think, I don't know. It's just points and do that. I haven't researched it more because I know people. I did a Facebook poll. Do you like to read rule books? And they're like, yes, we do. And that's the general consensus. Whereas to me, it's like, I would read a rule book, might play a game, but I wouldn't just read a rule book because I
Yep,
don't know if
yep.
it's going to be a good rule book. That isn't where I'm after. It is where maybe people who are voting, they're the key people who are creators, and they're looking to either influencers and know how to read a rule book, or they are people who want to design a rule book. And I know, have another podcast listening to today, how difficult that can be, because it's what's called cognitive load, which is if you over explain, they lose it. And if you don't explain enough, then they're not sure. Because if you say you can move orthogonally, then people say, but can I move that diagonally? So, that might sound straightforward. You can only do that, but the word only is needed or not needed. But yeah, of the list so far, that was the one that really stuck out, that I was like, oh no, I need to know more about what they're talking about and why. And how often they played it. Did they play it once? Or was it just like they've just discovered it and someone had it? Or I played this quite a bit. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I think, like you say, it looks dry.
On the box. And I mean,
Yeah.
the games I mentioned earlier that I was hinting at, it was this game in particular. I just thought that, yeah, I mean, it's an older game. I think it's probably the oldest game on this list, perhaps. I think it is.
The next one might give it a run for its money.
I think this might be your one.
Yes.
Speaking of which,
Yeah, I get I think Pitch Car, which was my pick of the month. I think technically it might be older. Certainly the was it? It's not Kanban.
Oh, I think then the Cannes Festival.
It had a previous name.
Okay.
When it was released, potentially in just parts of Europe or something. There was, but you can't actually use them interchangeably. But
Okay.
There is
That's
an
right.
older it's got a previous name sort of thing, but pitch car is the one that most people know. It's just pure fun. Have you had a chance to play it at any conventions or anything?
Well, I don't know if convention might be the way to put it, but no, I may have seen someone else play something very similar, but I hadn't had a chance. I'm pretty sure you're right. It is older, 1995, and oh yeah, Pitch Car Mini. I was rumored to buy that, but Bora 2013. Oh wow, okay, so it's coming up to 10 years now. But yes, Steffenfeld, but yeah, 3.74 rating compared to Pitch Car, which is a
A
lot more on the
one?
dexterity end. Yeah, we're talking. Let's go back one more screen. Uh, 1.13, so
Yeah.
pretty light on there.
It I mean, I'm almost surprised it's not a one, because you put the track together, you
Mhm.
put a disc on the start line and tell someone to go, and they'll come up and they'll flick the disc. And apart from if you go off the track, you have to, you go back to roughly where you were before, or if you flip over, you waste a turn turning your
Mhm.
car back over. And you can tweak the rules with like a demolition derby, or like slightly tighter, more, you know, pure racing where you can't knock others off and stuff. That's basically it. Get round the track first, and if you want to do multiple tracks, here's some points that you can award, or it's just first across the finish line. It's that simple, and it means certainly we've had like family come round. I've had a track set up. They've instantly walked across the room and gone and had a look at it, and then we've gone and played like a few. You do one lap, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, that was good. All right, some so and so won. Right, so we're playing again, right?" Instantly wanting to be like, "No, hang on, that was fluke. I could do that shot." It's just exactly what you want in a dexterity game. It's got that
Mm.
bit of skill where if I can flick this at the right amount around this corner, it's going to go perfectly and go exactly where I want it. And sometimes you'll do it and it will do that. The next time you'll flick it, it will just be at a slightly different angle, hit the barrier, bounce off the track in a different way, and everyone else laughs and you cheer, you groan. It's exactly what you want from a dexterity game. I would really advise giving it a go if you can.
Yeah, sounds like
It's
you want
just
to have it cut at a carnival. £5 I become play,
yeah,
or free to play the first time, £5 play again, and they're like, oh, I do want to play it again as well. So
yes,
yeah, it sounds a bit like flick 'em up, whereby like I could make that shot, and there have been other dexterity games I've played recently, although I can't recall off the top of my head what they were. And yeah, dexterity can be a tricky one. I haven't played that Mega Cities one, which I'm like a bit worried about and Tinder
yeah.
blocks didn't get on too well with that one. Well, I didn't mind it, but it's so fiddly. Little tweezers is a bit
It
tricky.
was quite fiddly, that one, but then a very small tin. What about a dexterity game which I believe you've played quite a few times, of Pathways?
Yes, I wondered if you were going to bring that up. Yes, so I played that 16 times at SlackCon. And yeah, there was obviously different varieties for playing. You can play just to get across the table, literally try and get in your back row of your opponents. Kind of like, I don't know, like a goal, I guess, maybe, literally like a game of football or something. But otherwise, you can try and get a row of three is one way. I think that's probably my favorite, if not the ice hockey kind of, curling approach. So yeah, what's your take on that? I thought that might have been your game of the month. Actually, I thought you were gonna maybe the what's the word, that kind of weaning feeling has kind of left you a bit. Kind of.
Yeah, potentially because I can't actually play it anymore. Whereas Pitch
Mm,
Car, I've got, and
yeah.
we've just continued to play. I think Pitch Car, because you can play with bigger amounts,
Hmm.
wins it for me. But
Yeah. Yeah.
Pathways, there's something so great about the design of a board with holes.
Mm.
It's such, again, it's
And it
another
works.
one. It works. It's another one where you sit down, you tell someone you're flicking these discs and you're trying to hit the back row. There's a couple of other a couple of other rules, sorry, but straight away, someone will flick it. They'll flick way too hard and it will fly off the table. Then they'll flick too soft and it will
Mm.
just go bloop and fall in a hole. And then they're like, "I've got this. I've done two flicks and I'm going to be a master at this." and then they spend the next half an hour going rematch, rematch, rematch until they get some goals. I prefer, for new players, the mode where you flip it over and there was the 2 rows of scoring.
I didn't understand that actually. I couldn't find the rules for how that works in terms of the 1-2 and the 1-2, whatever it was.
So it was, if you get it into the back row, it's worth 2 points, but if it's
Oh,
in the row just in front of that, it's worth 1.
Okay. Fair
So
enough.
it was for new players. Certainly when we were starting out, it felt really good because it was hard to do the back row consistently, but
Hmm.
you could normally get it in one of the 2 back rows, so you'd
Okay.
score more points. Then when you started to get good at it, we turned it over, and then I really enjoyed the back row scoring. The 3 in a row felt like sometimes you could get a bit lucky. Yes, you could get lucky on any of them. I know that, so it's a really bad example, but I just felt like when you were aiming for the back row and your opponent couldn't block it,
Hmm.
it's almost on your skill or your attempt. Whereas when it was the 3 in the row and you could block someone, they could block you back, you could flick and aim over here, and then it's ended up over there and blocked them. It just felt not quite as good for me. But
Okay.
like I said, for a
Varies. Yeah.
for a board with holes in it,
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Keeps the weight down, although in some respects. It's interesting, yeah, because in terms of trying to get those things in a row, that dexterity is so minuscule, even though you still need to have the accuracy of which way you're aiming it, like golf or
Yeah.
something. It's, I didn't feel anybody was particularly better. I found the scores are very close, especially when you play the points, the initial proper game, the points game. The box itself, though, I don't know how much it lends myself to showing someone going, oh, I'll play that, because it has that, 70s retro feel, and I
Yeah.
don't know if people are going to get past that. That's another factor. I don't know how easily it might work in the likes of John Lewis. If they see that, like, oh, okay, I want that. It
I
might
think it
not.
looks better on the table than the
Mm,
box, even though it literally looks like it does on the table on the box.
yeah,
When it's set up and someone can see it,
yeah,
they are almost more likely to play it than if you pull the box out and be like, "Do you want to play this?" Even though the box literally shows the board and everything,
yeah.
it's an odd one. Yeah, I think I'm not sure how they would have designed it differently.
I mean, either you
But
have a demo copy, which is tricky because you don't see other games with demo copies out because it could get nicked for a start. But the other option is like a 3D printed version. But then if they do that, then people will probably just going to have that
yeah,
typically.
yeah.
So anyway, on to the 6th best of the month. It's funny though. So I close it
Yes,
down.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay.
And then that one was again one that I've not played, but this is probably there's 2 games on the list that I'd not played and I really want to. This is the first one, and it's the
Okay.
Grand Carnival. Um,
Don't know that
so
one.
it's got polyomino placement, and you're trying to get your parts of basically get people to buy tickets for your rides of the carnival. So you'll only
Okay.
be scoring the ones that have got tickets bought for at the end. And yeah, the carnival theme, it seems quite cool the way you are, getting a ride or something along this
Mm.
path. It makes sense. Like you're wanting to fill out your carnival and get people to buy tickets. It just makes sense, and it's a cool theme, and it looks fun because it's tiles.
It does. It sounds like Isle of Cats though, in terms of the idea. It's not cat tickets, but it could be cats. It does seem very similar, that kind of idea that polyominoes, you do this, trying to complete stuff, and the fact is that you're working either on a shared board or otherwise, but it kind of kicks together. And also the carnival theme is pretty common these days. There's a few games that came out last year and the year before, which I haven't played yet. Those ones, nor have I played Dreadful Circus or the or its sequel, Death Carnival. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there's another one coming out very soon, or if it's kind of out in the US, I think, of Tenpenny Park.
Okay.
And that's another carnival one. And I'd be interested to try both and find out which one would stay in the collection, sort of thing. But
You think they're similar games, not just the title or the theme?
they both involve tiles, and they're both carnival themed,
Okay. I
which for
can't.
me would mean I would probably always veer to one, even if they feel different. I'd probably still go, Tile Carnival, I'll go for this, and I'd probably always go for one over the other. So I think
Yeah.
for me they'd probably be too close. But
Okay. Well, is your next number 7 best of the month list by special guests your other game that you're after, or a different one?
So the next one is Demon Worker, which was Evan's pick. And it looked peculiar, to be honest. Not in a bad way, you know. Sometimes a quirky game is exactly what you need, and it had very quirky demons and stuff that you're getting on these cards. I have to admit, I don't know much about it. I would probably walk past it if I hadn't heard of it. If it was in a convention hall, you've got so many games to see. I don't think I would have stopped and looked.
No.
Now, I'd probably stop and have a look and maybe listen a bit more about how it plays. I wouldn't be running to it. But yeah, I would have walked past this before.
It's a tricky one with quirkiness because as I try and explain to people why I justify certain purchases, which is always I guess a kind of an AA style answer to anything. It's in this instance, do I want to have a game that someone else has? Because if I bring this out to the table and they bring it out, it's like you're wearing the same dress or whatever you want to be wearing. But if it happens to be the case that you bring a game like, oh, what's that? It's different. But actually you can get past that initial, and actually, you know, they don't recognize it to be, do you want to play a game about this? I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. And maybe that's where you can hook them in. So you have to hook them in enough, or especially with players you may not have played with. So tomorrow I play with people I've played with quite frequently, and they generally play my games. They've played those games, they've never known what they're about. And I go, oh, that's really good. And I've kind of built up the reputation that they've enjoyed those ones. Because I could bring out ones that I know are particularly good, and hopefully I can wing it another time, because you don't know if they're going to like it. And sometimes people don't like games that I bring, but I still might like them. And if I just make sure of that group, but it might not be theme related or mechanisms related. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think one example that I'd use would be the small little card game, which is it's called Photograph or Wind the Film. I don't know if you've.
Hey. No.
Okay, so it's a game all about taking pictures, and you're winding the film because your cards stay in your hand in a particular order, and
cool. Okay.
you add cards to the. I can't remember which way around it is, but you add cards to, say, the back of your hand, and you play them from your front of your hand.
Okay.
And then you're allowed to wind one card into a different position.
Look it up.
So, you know, it's a really good game, but the theming makes people go, oh, that is a bit different. It's a much thinkier card game than, you know, you'd think from just a nice photography themed almost thing, but it does work. And it's like, you have to get that out with the right group, though. If you get that out with ones that are looking for a party game or a nice easy card game, they're not going to enjoy it. But if you get it out with someone that does want maybe a thinkier puzzle almost to play with, it's really quite good. It's one that I would like to maybe play every now and again, but I don't, because it has to be with the right person. So yeah, quirky is good if you've got the right people.
Yeah, so Wind the Film, I've been researching it. So 2016 by Sashi.
Yes,
made, so 9 games in total. Coffee Roasters, anyone I've really heard about, which seems to be the highest ranked thing. And Let's Make a Bus Route, the dice game.
Yes, now I do want. There's a new version of Make a Bus Route, which is called Get On Board or something like that.
That's it. Yeah, that's right.
Coming out this year, and that's coming out in the UK this year, and I really do want to give that a go because I've heard very good things, and their games they're not always like top tier, but they've always got something about them that just makes them interesting. like, oh, I've not seen that in many other games, like in Photograph, where you are, your hand doesn't change order. There's not many other games where I know that I can think of where you draw a card to the back of your hand and play from the front, where
I can only think of two.
you can't
Yeah.
just change the order, and it's an interesting thing. It's not the best thing in the world, but it's just different, sort of thing.
Look at Photograph. The Bonanza, and there's only one other game I can think of which has this. I can't think of the name, but Photograph came out the same year. Yeah, but have you played Bonanza?
No, not played.
You heard of Bonanza?
Yeah, heard of it, but is that the one with the little bean on the front?
Yeah, so it's obviously a play on words on the word bonanza, because it's the German spelling of Bern, Bohn, as opposed to Bean. And it's Uwe Rosenberg. It's one of his first games. It might have been his first game for Amigo, 1997, I think it was. I've played multiple editions. I love the dice version. I've got Spider Beans, which is a promo I bought. But you can mix out some. I still haven't played the promo. It's over in Germany. And yeah, there's lots of versions. I don't know why he's played Lady Byrne and McBurn or whatever they might be. There's 20 plus versions. If you look it up, it's ridiculous. And it's very weird because it's a kind of a set collection game, but yeah, you can't change the order. So what you're trying to do is get rid of a card to get other cards, and therefore trying to get the right cards at the right moment to play them. But the downside is other people might be trying to compete with you. So it's a really odd concept when you're trying to never shuffle your cards or never change the order. You naturally want to sort your cards normally by rank or suit or something. But in this instance, yeah, it's my parents, my mum in particular, was laughing a lot at it because you have these very funny things, like you have the black-eyed bean, and it's like a cartoon bean with a black eye and stuff. And you got another one like broken bean, and it's basically someone who's got broken legs and whatever. And stink bean, and it's just like a smelly bean. And very, very funny ones. And chili bean and other ones. But the thing is, my mum was just laughing, trying to say, got any smelly beans? So it's very funny, and it feels like it takes a long time, because the first round takes as long as the second and third one put together. So the second round's, because you go through the deck 3 times, it takes ages the first round. And we say, should we just play 2 rounds? And then when you go through the deck or the second round, it's actually that was over half the time or under half the time, and the third time it's literally a few turns and that's it. So it is very quick, and it also has a kind of pre-viticultureness whereby you're planting out fields, and you can choose to have 1 field or 2 fields. You start with 2 fields. You can get a 3rd field. I haven't made a video for this yet, which I need to, but you can either have two, and I have made a video, I think, but 2 fields, and then you can have a 3rd field. To buy a 3rd field, you have money. You need to buy money, and to get money, I mentioned you're trying to make sets. So you're getting rid of your cards to make a set, and then you say, I'm going to sell this set, and the more you have, the more money you're going to get. So it's all about, push your luck and try and get more cards into it, or try and sell them, because if you sell them, you've got a 3rd field. A 3rd field means you can play more beans into it, which means you can plant more stuff. So it's all that kind of worker placement, push your luck. When do you want to convert your engine to points, that kind of stuff. And then it's points at the most, points or coins, whatever you want to call it. And then the game wins the game. So you start off with 2 fields, but you can sell your fields. If you want to sell your field, you're shrinking that stuff that you can engine build, but you've got money as an engine builder instead. And sometimes you want to do that because whatever else you want to work for. So yeah, it's a very interesting concept. And this is 25th anniversary. I mean, I don't give it more than like a 7 out of 10 because it's almost more, there's less mechanisms than there is. Well, there's a lot of mechanisms, but the gameplay, it's very good, but it's, I don't know, and it's funny in terms of the word stuff. In terms of the interaction, like I said, you are trying to compete on stuff. It just, it's in the collection, but it's not top of the collection currently.
Well,
but things change, as we know.
It sounds like something I should check out, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly.
Should we move on to the next one?
Absolutely.
Yeah, which was Pandemic Legacy Season 0. It sounds like Evan and Grayson are sort of, well, they were on a bit of a losing streak, but now they're on a bit of a winning streak and enjoying the battle of the spies that is Season 0. Okay. I did enjoy it. I think we've spoken and ranked our Pandemic Legacies before, so I won't go into that too much. But I do like the way they managed to sort of swap out the pandemic theme of viruses for spies and agents and stuff, and actually it still made sense, rather than, well, kind of, there's still a bit of a, when an epidemic or when there's too many spies in a location, something happens. That was a bit sort of, well, it just happens because that's how the game works. But for the most part, the theme did actually work quite well on that one. I thought.
Too noticeable or whatever it was. But no, I think it was also very apt for a good time for obviously when it occurred. So yeah, that was very good. But yeah, this is great to see. This is the game I mentioned earlier, that this could have been on my game of the month this time last year or 2 years ago. In fact, it was this day last year, 31st of March, in fact, last year, that I played and finished it. I know that because the only day I didn't game last year was the 1st of April, I think. Oh no, it was actually this day last year, because there's 31st that I didn't game and I forgot to game. Oh no, I didn't get a calendar year streak going on there. So actually, that's a good point. Tomorrow we'll make it a calendar year streak. So
that is
sorry, a non-calendar year. It's going to be what's the career slam as opposed to the calendar slam, whatever it is. So yeah. Wait till tomorrow. See if I forget again. I'm playing tomorrow. Yes, I'm definitely playing because they're giving me free Domino's pizza. So that's why I can't miss that.
You've got to set an alarm just in case.
Oh yes, we have done 2, in fact. So cool. On to number 8, I think, up to.
Yeah. So there's a family of these games.
Okay.
This one, the one that was mentioned by Adam, was Evolution, and I think then Oceans is in there. I don't know if it's necessarily a sequel, but it's somewhere in the same family of games. I don't know where I'd want to jump in to that series, but I do want to give it a go.
Okay.
Have you played any of them though?
I've played all of them. Yeah, I played Evolution. I played Climates, which was actually given separately rather than as a base. Someone bought Climates, the whole thing, and actually already had it. And I was just messaging with someone who's actually on the front page, BGG, who it's great to see. So that was really cool. So in terms of, I don't like Oceans that much. I think it's too fiddly. I think they've gone a step too far, or in fact, multiple steps too far. So in Evolution, it's a very clever name. You signed by Dominic Ramshertz and Nick Bentley. All those bit of falling out between them unofficially. You didn't hear it from me, but something about something to do with something. But North Star Games, great idea. First game we played, it took 2.5 hours. Second game took 60 minutes. Third game took 48 minutes. So it does come down.
That really does come down. Wow, that is a drop. Yes,
well, it's going to be an hour-long game. So I think it's just that first time getting across that. All a player count of 5, I think, but you might not like it if you don't like to all herbivores, but then you can flip and become a carnivore if you've got the right cards to do so, but you don't have to flip. But if you're a carnivore, when it's time to feed at the end of the round, then the carnivores have to feed off the herbivores. And that means you're eating a population or a food size of an animal of something else from somebody else. So you have multiple species. You can just have 1, you can have 2, you can have 3, as many as you like. The more animals you have to feed. If you're not feeding enough at the end of the game, or the end of the round, you are going to have to decrease your population size per animal. If you have a larger animal, they need more food. But also, if you are an animal and you only have 1 species, it's going to be quite easy. So you're able to stay alive. A bigger animal is good because you're bigger than an opponent who cannot eat you, because you need to be a bigger opponent size. So there's only a limited amount of food as well going into that gene pool, or that's food of life that everyone's able to get. So that's a factor. So if you're worried about that, you might not flip to carnivore, but if everyone does that, everyone's going to be eating each other. So there's a bit of carnage going on there. But you can defend yourself. You can get yourself various traits. So you can have up to 3 traits. You could have a hard shell, which basically gives you +4 defense. So they need to be at least 4 times bigger than you, or 4 spaces bigger incrementally. Or you could be burrowing, which means they must be able to reach in and get you or something. Maybe you want to have a long neck, which means you can actually get food earlier or sooner. Or you could be a scavenger, which means if you are a carnivore, you can actually eat creatures already dead or something like that, something similar. I'm generally gesticulating. But those are all the different things you can do. Oceans is different because oh, let's take some fish and I'm going to compartmentalize it and stick it over here in different places. And there's different places you can get the food from. And it isn't as smooth. And considering I
Okay.
played the first one, you'd think, as with many games, you may have played Catan and then Seafarers, or you played Ice Cool and Ice Cool 2. You're like, oh, it's straightforward. You do this. This one, they changed enough. And obviously, change isn't necessarily bad. And they kind of started from the ground up, toss possibly. But I don't know that they're doing another Oceans, from as far as I'm aware. I mean, I don't know how soon after Evolution, but then again, they hadn't evolved as much as a company, but since then, as to what they were then going to do next. So I don't know how well received it was. I did play the deluxe edition. It was a Kickstarter version, but yeah, it didn't grab me. We haven't played it again since, and I have played with promo packs. Doesn't change anything. The lovely bags in the original as well, in particular. It's great idea. Nick Bentley has also designed the great game on Board Game Arena called Circle of Life, which is very much an abstract game. You might not like it for that reason if you don't like that kind of stuff. Beautiful to look at. I don't know if it's even available in person, because Tumbleweed I've been playing on there recently, which it was made during lockdown for online use. There's not a physical copy of it, but it won the best combinatorial two-player abstract strategy game of 2020. And it has grown on me. Initially, I went, ooh, I've actually given it from a 3.49, maybe whatever it was, to an 8.1 on or something rating. It's kind of dropping a bit now, because if you fall behind, you are probably going to lose. It can only take as little as 7 minutes to play, but sometimes it can drag on. And on a turn-based game, it could take you a week or more. So, and they could be 150 plus moves. So it's not necessarily quick if you're not playing it turn-based, where I think you lose a bit. The rules are still unclear, which is a shame, which is why I think it's online. So I'm like, let's just hover. Can I even click on this thing? Okay, that works. Let's do that. But anyway, on to number 8, is it? Or 8 or 9?
On to number 10.
Oh, okay.
So we definitely skipped a number, but we haven't skipped a game. So I'm not quite sure how we managed that. But the last one is a game that you thought I might have smuggled on to the end of the list, but it was not me.
Okay.
Because it was Unmatched Battle of Legends Volume 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe you thought I'd smuggled it onto the list because Unmatched is one of my favorite series at the moment. It really is. I have to admit, I don't know which box. I keep thinking, oh, I'd recommend this box. Oh, I'd recommend that box. I love the Cobble and Fog map the most.
Okay.
And I think that's why I would recommend that map and that box, because it's at the end of the day, what characters are going to grab you? If you really like Robin Hood, go and get the Robin Hood box, because you're going to want to play as him. If you really want to play as Medusa, then this Battle of Legends Volume 1 box is the one for you.
Yeah.
If you just want to try Unmatched, though, Cobble and Fog it's probably got some of the most interesting ones out there. At the same time, there's 2-player packs, there's expansions, there's more on the way. Oh, it's so exciting. There's Marvel as well. And I have played some of the Marvel heroes in digital form now.
Ooh.
And they fit well in. I've played Marvel versus Marvel characters, in terms of we did we had Ghost Rider versus Luke Cage, but then I've also done it where it was Luke Cage, and I think I did Little Red Riding Hood versus them, and they fit straight in, which is exactly what I wanted from them. I didn't want them to be trying to be standalone or different or more powerful. Just more for the system. Is brilliant.
Okay, well, I have played it. I have given my view, because I've only played it as a 4, which I don't think you have yet. And I didn't like it too much. I give it a 6 out of 10, because it took a very long time. It was talking 2.5 hours, and it's just that would really didn't death knell it. It's still a 6. It is, in my top 40 asymmetrical games. So we'll be doing a list on that at some point. But it's I don't know. I've only played the original and Cobble and Fog, fun enough. So at least I can talk to you about that one. Nice characters. It was close, but I can see what they're doing with it. I can see where they've got everything else out there. I don't know if you're aware, actually. In fact, a couple of I gave a 5-2, strangely enough. 2 too long as a 4, quite samey, not bad, but long and stilted. The board with the shapes doesn't look good. Marvel Champions, others are like it, aside from the resource element is similar, highly skirmishy. And I didn't know that actually re-implements Star Wars Epic Duel.
Epic Duel, yes, yeah.
So, which also re-implemented something else, which was called, or re-implemented by, so that was the Duels, and then there's Transformers as well.
Oh, okay. Well, what I would say is, and since we spoke last, I've played with a number of people online and spoken to them, and like I've still not played it above a 1 versus 1 game, and that is where I'm liking it. I would probably try a 1v1 and just not take it seriously.
Yeah.
Everyone I've spoken to has said it's a 1v1 game.
Yeah.
That can play more.
Yes,
and
there are examples of that. Yeah.
I would strongly suggest giving it another go at just one character each, 1v1. Sure. You can easily, once you've played once or twice, and it's easier if you play the same character more than once, because then you know roughly what's in the deck.
Yes,
exactly. You can play a game in half an hour, and that feels the right amount of time.
Yeah. Okay, I'll make sure I can. I've had a few cancellations, so the person who's got it, a Friday coming up. It won't be this Friday, but maybe next Friday.
If it's going on for 2 hours, that is way too long. I would struggle to enjoy that, and I'm loving Unmatched. So
we don't
stay. If someone offers you a 2v2, walk away.
Exactly. But cool. Well, I think that wraps it up. I know we did talk for more than, well, not double the length, but another 50% more than the length. We spoke for an hour and a half after this session. I know you'll be editing this together. Any other views or any hints that maybe you may try out anything in April, and what could make your list? If that makes sense.
At the moment, the games that I know are going to be hitting the table at the weekend.
Oh, cool.
Rolling Realms.
Oh yeah.
Which I have been enjoying over the last few days. I'm enjoying that one. I don't think it's necessarily my favorite roll and write, but I'm growing to like that. The first play, it was a bit not sure. As soon as I played it the second time, I was like, oh, actually, this is a lot better than the first play. Just simply because the first one, it felt like I was learning how to play the different realms. And then the second game, it was like, oh, yeah, I know 7 of these realms already.
Yeah.
So I'm not having to work out how to play them. Just working out how to score best.
Yeah.
And I like games that maybe can do that quicker. But now I'm playing it more. I'm enjoying it more. So that could go quite nicely. And another one that I'm hoping to get to the table would be the Cult Express Big Box, because Cult Express is a lot of fun, and the big box with the new character and both expansions, it's just fun. Yeah. What about yourself?
Well, actually, thinking about it now, maybe be able to try the Western Legends of all the stuff. Now that I've got all the bits together, that could be quite cool. Also, again, Western themes, kind of a big box. So they're so annoying that all different stage boxes. It's like, ugh, how do I store all this? I've already mentioned Age of Steam, mentioned Jaws of the Lion. Nothing else that. What else tomorrow? Tomorrow isn't April. To be decided. And I'm not sure I might play Other Cats. I might play Edge of Darkness again. That's another. Time Stories, actually, on Friday. So I suggest we might play. I mean, I've already played it, and I played it as a 3 and a 4. Haven't played it as a 2, and it took about 6 hours as a 4.
Ooh.
4.5 hours as a 3. I'm pretty sure it shouldn't take that long as a 2, because I know how it scales, and I know people are very wary of it being as a 2. But actually, I think it is more designed as a sort of as a 2, because it's a memory-related game, and the more players you have, there's more pitfalls going on. I was generally playing with quite a few new players as well. I there is a known glitch in one of the missions. I've played 3 of the missions. I do give it an 8 out of 10. There are some fan-made ones you can print off and do as well, which I'd be happy to potentially try out as well. Yeah, I'm quite open. I mean, I might be playing some Dominion Big Box, Obsession, and who knows? You'll find out in April. Or
Yes.
That's it. Otherwise, we're going to be talking for a long time again.
Yes,
so
very much so.
I'll happily to wrap up there. Obviously, you'll discover both of us through our descriptions. You can share through both of us, and like through both of us, and comment through both of us, and anything else you wish to do. So yeah, I'll wrap up and say good evening, good night, whatever you might be. Good morning, good afternoon. It feels surreal. It's not, but at least the curtains are closed. And over to you, Ollie.
Yes, well, yep. Thanks, everyone, and well, have a good month gaming.
Yeah, back to the table.